Okay, folks, so this is going to be quite the intense week, and there's a lot that we need to get ready for. Number one, we need to talk about a specific stock that ran huge last week and has a big catalyst coming this week that a lot of people aren't paying attention to. Number two, woof, we need to talk about Shiba Inu coin. What the heck is going on with this latest rally? And lastly, number three, this is going to be a major week for earnings reports. A lot of huge companies are going to be reporting, and that's going to have a dramatic effect on the market. So we have to talk about that ahead of time. And the only thing that I ask in return for all of this is that you hit that ravishing like button, and also you shan't forget to subscribe either. Okay, folks, so the biggest story of the previous trading week was almost certainly Dwack and its offspring runners, which also ran massively. In some cases, actually outpaced Dwack. And with a big catalyst coming this week, I would not put it past Dwack to have some rebound rallies, but more on that in a second. Let me give you the full context here. Okay, we originally briefed on Dwack at around $12 a share on Thursday's pre-market. It ended up running to $175 shortly after open on Friday. Holtz killed off the rally and it dove back down to 80. But overall, this has been one of the best performing, if not the best performing SPAC of 2021. Whether you love or hate the guy, Trump's media and technology company planning to merge with Dwack has brought in quite the storm. It presents itself as a non-cancelable global community trying to capture the market share of social media apps like Twitter and Facebook, and then eventually down the road streaming services like Netflix and Disney, and then big news media like CNN, and eventually even web services like AWS, Stripe, Google Cloud, and the likes. But at this point, what they are really offering is the ability for people who agree with the sentiment behind the stock and the company it's going to be representing to essentially show that via capital flow. And outside of that, most importantly here, it's bringing in a lot of speculators, both retail and institutional, and has created an interesting setup here as a meme-style euphoria stock, with overall pumps and dumps of euphoria ending in some people continuing to hodl the stock waiting for the next pump, which is largely what has propped up a lot of the meme-style stocks in the stock market all year. And you look at the level of interest even over the weekend, Dwack continues to be number one by far in terms of mentions on popular retail forums. And that euphoria has now spread to any stock associated with Trump and this app. For example, Friday morning, I became aware of Fun. They were receiving a lot of attention on retail-heavy forums. Folks were speculating that these would be the people to help build Trump's social media app because they had helped on the 2020 re-election campaign app. Because of those characteristics and the setup and the euphoria that we've seen spreading out from just Dwack to a lot of the other associates, well, that caused us to brief on Fun Friday morning at just under $6 a share, and it ran up massively to $24.04 before getting halted and crashing. Certainly hard to lock in large portions of profit on that because of how fast they go up and then how hard it is to get out after the halt unfreezes. But in any case, the buying Trump-related stock trend is likely to continue during this week. You also had ticker symbol BENE and ZGYH, which were led by the same CEO as Dwack, run up randomly on Friday. Warrants on BENE actually up over 700% at some points. Another stock that looks to be heating up huge right now with close relationships to this whole Trump euphoria rally is Mark. Basically slept all day Friday, and then all of a sudden towards close and into after hours, it ran up huge. Usually runs into the week and suggests that, hey, speculators, usually short-term speculators that are randomly buying stocks like this, they're betting that, hey, it's worth taking the risk over the weekend to hold because we think that the news cycle is going to benefit the stock by market open Monday, and then it's going to have a pop. Now, whether they're right is another question. But the fact that you saw this kind of risk taking into close and after hours close on Friday suggests that the trend is probably only getting started in terms of this massive meme pump on Trump stocks. We will keep you updated in the morning briefings. Make sure if you remember to check in 30 minutes prior to market open. That's when they're posted. And if we see any new plays on these stocks or new events dropping in the pre-market, we will make you aware. Violently aware. The way we found Dwack in the first place back at $12 a share was because of that pre-market research. So if you're not a member, at least do the research yourself so that you can become aware of a lot of these plays if this is a focus of yours. But here's what we know right now. At present, we have an SPAC merging with a Trump media and technology group. We have some loose details and some ideas of what this group is going to be targeting. But here's where the catalyst comes in. You see CEO of Dwack, Patrick Orlando, stated that a regulatory filing providing more details on this deal to take former U.S. President Donald Trump's new social media venture public will be published quote, soon. And then he said maybe around Thursday, which would be this coming Thursday. He's also talking about submitting an 8K, which could also provide us some small tips in regards to the structure of the company, as well as what the deals with these warrants, because the warrants themselves, DWACW, have like 70x at highs in the last 2 trading periods. I mean, you look at the difference between where they were trading at Wednesday and Thursday, and then you look at where they're at now. It's insane. So with clarification, I would argue that that's a massive, massive catalyst that we could expect towards the end of this week, Thursday or Friday. But my take is a catalyst is really just an opportunity to bring a lot of attention to a stock. Now, not a lot of people are talking about this catalyst, so it might not have as big of a pre-anticipatory effect. But still, what keeps momentum stocks like Dwack hot is a rolling slew of new catalysts. Something that consistently brings in more media attention, more people to buy and FOMO rally a stock, more people to cause rebound rallies, which Dwack is in need of since it's been selling off from its latest attempt at new highs thanks to the halt. I would argue that the more that they can slowly release these catalysts, the longer Dwack is going to stay around as a hype euphoria momentum play. That being said, if you are going to take associated risks with playing a stock like Dwack, you have to understand, hey, these can run really, really fast. They can also drop just as fast. My suggestion is to familiarize yourself with the circuit breaking and halt schedule. That way, when you see a stock running up at a certain intensity to a certain percentage point gain in a small amount of time, you can start saying, hey, wait a second, this is heading for a halt. And then perhaps you can lower the chance of getting stuck in the halt and then having to deal with one of those massive sell-offs post-halt. And hey, at the end of the day, some people love these massive, massive runners. Some people hate them because they always end up creating a massive amount of bag holders afterwards, and that's just a fact. My thought process is if you like these plays, hey, manage your risk in them, don't use too much capital, have realistic expectations, and then play them well and enjoy it. Okay, but now over the long run, what's going to happen with Dwack? Well, I think that after the initial hype rallies die off, after the sympathy rallies die off, after the institutional short-term speculators go home, you're going to start seeing that there's actually a strong amount of buy and hodlers who are buying based on sentiment, similar to stocks like GME and AMC, but with more of a political background. I think they're going to keep the stock actively traded and elevated in price point. Again, whether you like the guy or hate the guy, there's a lot of Americans who like him, and there's a lot of people that like what he says, and they're buying the stock and they agree with the company's mission. Now, as to whether the actual shareholder value in the long run and whether this is going to 5x, it really does depend on the SPAC merger terms, and we don't have enough information about the finalized results, but let me paint this picture for you. You look at the company itself, you gotta admit that this is gonna be a company that's gonna be incredibly well funded, going to have a built-in following almost from the get-go, which is the hardest thing for companies, social media companies trying to get off the ground. Gonna have a massive incentive for Trump, who likely has 50% or more equity in this company. If he can get this to double or triple, he's making billions and billions of dollars. Consider the built-in following again that he brings, and you consider all of the areas of which they'll be attacking. Even if they're not that successful, there's definitely going to be some value to it. I think quite simply, whether you love it or hate it, this is going to be a trailblazer in terms of bringing in political sentiment to the stock market and having capital chase stocks that follow the politics of the people behind the stocks. That's already present to some degree, but not as directly as with this stock. And I think that if this brings in a ton of capital and is very successful, you're going to see a lot of left-leaning ones pop up, you're going to see more right-leaning ones pop up, and certainly a lot of that political toxicity spill over into the stock market. But hey, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you like I see it. So Shiba Inu has been barking up a storm despite the overall crypto market taking a fairly chubby breath. Shiba token has found itself taking on new highs in the 40 and 40s. Then somebody asked Elon Musk via Twitter how much Shiba coin he owned, and he said none, which then led to a huge sell-off. But if you look at the tweet responses to Elon, you can already see some people complaining. One of my cousins lost 12K because of this tweet. People are such babies. I don't know if you ever read Twitter threads. But quite frankly, if you bought Shiba Inu because Elon Musk tweeted a picture of his Shiba Inu puppy in the frunk of a Tesla, and now you're blaming him because he isn't holding any Shiba coin, then you've got a problem, and it's not Elon. But honestly, these crypto projects are so much bigger than Elon Musk or any hyper. People buy it because it's funny, and then more people buy it because it's funny, and then everybody soon enough is laughing all the way to the bank. Most put a few $100s in and consider it a gamble, and because a lot of people just keep doing that, keep getting more and more waves of people encouraged to buy in, expecting more and more people. It could become a longer run player, similar to how Dogecoin has. At the end of the day, folks, you could say a lot of these currencies have no inherent value, but that begs the question of how you define value. There's a lot of paintings that are worth tens of millions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars because because people enjoy the art. People know other people are willing to pay more for them. And one could argue that, hey, a joke is kind of a type of art. One could argue that buying a joke currency like Shiba Inu coin that has real technology behind it may be more useful as a speculation tool in that it's actually more liquid, it has real tech behind it, and can potentially host a ton of applications on its network. You could also argue in the long run, when cryptocurrencies become more mainstream, that a lot of these original OG speculative early stage coins will actually have some sort of long-term solidified value, similar to how that first tweet on Twitter sold for hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, lastly, let's go ahead and finish prep with earnings. So for earnings this week, we have Facebook on Monday. Their latest idea is transforming themselves into a metaverse company where we slowly get more integrated into immersive virtual realities. Cool idea, would certainly make more of an argument for NFTs and cryptocurrencies. Not sure that I trust Facebook with the metaverse idea, but hey, it's a cool idea. Social media companies as a whole have been on a bit of a sell-off as Apple has been upping their privacy efforts, which hurts ad targeting and thus profitability. With companies like Facebook, Twitter, Alphabet reporting earnings next week, we should see some more takes on how that impacts online advertisement revenue. You also have QuantumScape, Robinhood, Visa, AMD, Microsoft, WM on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we got Boeing, Ford, Twilio, Lending Club, Spotify, among other notable players. Ford, I'm looking for an update on their EV production supply chain and numbers. Teladoc, I want to see how they are holding up as we edge out of the pandemic, how Boeing is doing on manufacturing and orders. Thursday, we have Apple, Amazon, Shopify, MicroStrategy. Friday, Chevron, Exxon, Royal Caribbean. Certainly a big week for earnings and lots to prepare for. I have a lot of fun stuff that we're going to be covering this week. Lastly, quick bonus. You may remember OCGN is supposed to have their WHO approval for Covaxin by the end of October. Well, that should be sometime this week if they do meet that guideline. And with OCGN cooling off a little bit, you may see some hype rallies on that. I'll be keeping an eye on it. Anyways, folks, that's it for today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us below or join us on ZipTrader Circle. If you'd like to learn how to trade with our private chat, our daily morning briefings, as well as our step-by-step lessons, where we will walk you through everything that you need to know in order to learn how to better trade and manage your account in the stock of market, well, we'll go ahead and put a link to ZipTrader you below. This is not the type of course where you can buy it and get away without doing any work. This is something where you're expected to put a ton of work in and effort to get any sort of result. When I buy something, you better bet that I get every single dollar worth out of it. And I expect the same from you. Also, if you're wondering what broker to trade these stocks on, well, we like to send new traders over to public.com/ZipTrader, and I'll go ahead and put the link below. You'll get a free stock valued up to $70 when you use that link. Anyways, have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video.